Hey guys, welcome back to Football by Rob. It's Rob here. We are nearly 6 hours and what just change away from the World Cup starting. Yet somehow it doesn't feel as exciting as it should. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think the World Cup is no longer what it used to be, a global spectacle that the entire world could unite for, irrespective of whether your team was playing or not, or your country was part of it or not. And I'm saying this as an Indian who's never seen his team play in a World Cup, at least not at the senior level. But we've always had an affinity with the tournament, with the sport. I have a lot of core memories that are associated with the tournament. And it's just sad that we've got to a point in this life where FIFA have become so messed up that it's threatening to ruin the World Cup experience in general. And it's extremely sad for a lot of fans of the tournament who know basically that they don't have any other recourse, they don't have any other alternative, or they don't have any other avenue to turn to where they can find such a massive spectacle of this level that they can enjoy. I mean, a lot of fans I know, they wait just for the World Cup. There are a lot of people who aren't regular football season lovers the way we are, the way I am at least. So I feel for them and I feel about what's happening with the World Cup and everything in it. So we just want to talk about this because I have a feeling the moment the first whistle is blown, everything's going to be forgotten all over again. So let's just get into that. I saw this article recently that felt really on point. So the does referee case show FIFA has lost control of its own World Cup? Now, for those who don't know, Gianni Infantino, the president of FIFA, he has spent a lot of time basically trying to get into Donald Trump's good books, making him sound out to be the best thing since sliced bread in terms of political leaders, even going to the extent of creating a whole new FIFA Peace Prize out of thin air just to appease him because Donald Trump was not given the Nobel Peace Prize. So, and this is just one of many small instances of where Infantino has gone above and beyond and bent over backwards to ingratiate himself with the American president and the American government, essentially, even though this World Cup is being held by Canada, Mexico, and America in conjunction. So, for those of you who don't know, there is this referee, Omar Artan, who is regarded as one of the best referees in Africa. In fact, some can even say the best referee in Africa, and he was one of 7 African referees who was selected by FIFA to officiate at this tournament. Now, this guy is of Somalian descent, so America has a visa ban and a travel ban on people from Somalia at this point in time. Now, fair enough, that is their government policy. I get that. I don't, I may not understand it or I may not condone it, but I can certainly uh, learn to respect it because it is their law and you have to respect the laws of the land you are in at the point of time you are there. Fair enough. My point is, when you apply to host an event like the World Cup, you have to go through certain, these certain, what's the word, certain vetting, right? Where the organizer is going to say that, irrespective of what your conflicts are with XYZ or whatever, you're not going to allow that to interfere with the tournament or the spectacle. And I don't know how or why FIFA has allowed this to happen. America has chosen not to make an exception. So, what is the scene here? This guy has not been given the opportunity to referee in the World Cup. He arrived. He was supposed to join up with 51 other referees in Miami, where all the referees are supposed to be held and they have to do some training and whatnot before the tournament. And he was sent back. Now, because he's Somalian, he got a special exemption by going through Kenya and he got a diplomatic permit essentially that granted him a visa to come to America. So even though people from his country are not allowed, he was made an exception in this case. Now, I don't understand. Firstly, I'm pretty sure even if it went through Kenya or Ethiopia or any other country or whatever, even if it went through FIFA separately, there is an American at the other end of the form who is approving your visa application or your request. That's how it works normally. So, were they that incompetent that they didn't realize at that point of request that this guy was not eligible? Because they have gone on to say that this guy was essentially in contact with terrorist organizations and he has been a terrorist sympathizer and stuff like that. Now, we don't know if that is true or not. But even on the off chance that these claims are true and what they are alleging is actually factual about this man, then surely you have the FBI and the CIA and all this intelligence of the world and everything, and you couldn't reject his request prior to this. You had to do it like this. It's one thing to nip someone's dream in the bud. It is quite another to have them believing that it's all done, and in the 11th hour when they come and when they arrive and they're supposed to walk into the country where they're supposed to officiate, you sweep their legs like some sort of evil Karate Kid villain. Now, I don't understand the scenario behind that. If he is genuinely a threat, then you don't allow his visa from the off itself, right? If he isn't a threat, then just let him officiate. I mean, this guy must have dreamed about this. Yeah, come on. It's just sad. It's just ultimately sad. He went back home and he was given a hero's welcome. So that was still pretty good. Now, part of me also feels that this could be because Trump just has something against Somalians. Now, I understand that there is a whole other dynamic that is at play in America with regards to a lot of the Somalian diaspora that is there, and I'm not going to get into that because I don't know enough about it to be speaking on it to that extent, right? But you cannot be doing this to a referee or something, at least without proper proof. And if you have the proof also, then you should have done it earlier. Let's just call that. Now, apart from that, you had this guy basically get questioned. Now, I'm not going to play the whole interview because it's like 3 minutes long, or this answer is 3 minutes long. So he was asked by a journalist if he was embarrassed and he that they can accept that they've lost the control of the tournament because there are multiple things that have happened that are jeopardizing the entire experience of the World Cup. I'm talking about fans from certain countries not getting visas. I'm talking about the Iranian team not getting access to train and stay in America for extended periods of time. So they were actually not being allowed to come. I mean, there was a point where Donald Trump basically said that Iranians are welcome, but for their own safety, I wouldn't recommend they come here. I'm like, what sort of bullshit is that? Like, are you openly putting a hit out on them or basically threatening them indirectly? What are you doing? And eventually it got to a point where Iran had to basically speak to FIFA and speak to the Mexican government, and they moved their base of operations from wherever it was in America. I think it was in California probably, and they moved it to Mexico, Tijuana or somewhere. So even on the days of the games that Iran has, they have to travel to America on the day of the game, and they have to travel out of the country on the day of the game. They don't get to travel the day before, acclimatize, maybe train, stuff like that. You have to do it on the day itself. I think that is pretty messed up as well. You are not allowing access to their support staff and their physios and stuff like that to travel with them. You're only allowing access to essential personnel only, which is basically I think the entire squad and max to max like two or three people from the support staff, maybe physios. I'm not even sure if that is the case, but it just goes to show that this is not normal, but yet it is somehow trying to be normalized. You have the Senegalese team that is being searched on the tarmac itself, which is weird when you don't have that sort of thing happening for, say, a Spain or a France or England and stuff like that. You have the situation with ice being at these stadiums and tournaments. It's almost as if those dementors are going to be around the Quidditch arena in Prisoners of Azkaban, and I just don't know how it's going to impact the world's game basically. So when this guy he gets asked about all this, he says that in 2035 the Women's World Cup I think will be in the UK. Would you find it normal that FIFA will dictate to the British government who to let in and who not to let in? Now, again, I don't think FIFA has a right to dictate to a government who to let in or who not to let in. But let's not sit here and pretend that FIFA have not had a history of dictating to governments, especially when they are underdeveloped or developing or not first world, to put it in the words of the West. So we have instances in the past where is it? East Air. Yeah. So in 2010, FIFA told South Africa in advance that we are really concerned that you guys have a really crime-ridden atmosphere in South Africa. You have an average of 50 murders a day, and burglaries and carjackings were like a dime a dozen almost. So what did South Africa do? Because they wanted to look good for FIFA, they installed 56 courts in 9 cities. There were 9 cities hosting each hosting city of the World Cup. It had a bunch of courts, and it was so fast tracked that you had people getting arrested today, getting put on trial in court tomorrow, getting sentenced that day itself, and starting their prison sentence the third day. So extremely expedited levels of judicial efficiency. Call you can call it that, I guess. So France, France. I'm saying FIFA have a history of doing that. FIFA also famously went to Brazil, and this was the time when Budweiser was the main sponsor, and Brazil had a law in place from I think 2003 where alcohol sale was illegal in Brazilian stadiums. And what did FIFA do? FIFA said, I think there was even a clip on a John Oliver show where there was this French guy and he was like, "We want to sell a beer," and like really, uh, it was just wild how FIFA put pressure to the point where the Brazilian president actually had to sign a law. This law was even called the Budweiser Bill, unofficially. So let's not sit here and pretend that it can't be done. The same FIFA went and told Qatar that you need to be more welcoming and you need to be more open and you need to allow LGBTQ people to come and this, that, and whatnot. And again, I just want to preface this by saying I am not for once defending Qatar. I'm not for once defending Russia. I think they had their own cavalcade of problems and issues regarding their hosting rights being handed to them. But at the same time, I have to also be consistent about the fact that I don't think an America or a UK or a France or a Belgium have any right to do the moral policing and come in on a white horse and say shit like that either. I mean, if we are going to talk about the UK, the UK who was very vocal about the whole LGBT issue in Qatar. Yes, I'll also mention that there was a massive migrant worker death issue as well, and that especially affected people in the subcontinent, the Indian subcontinent, because you had people from Nepal, you had people from Bangladesh, you had people from India, you had people from Sri Lanka dying in the process of constructing that stadium. And basically, that entire tournament was built on the blood, sweat, and tears, and ultimately souls of a lot of these migrant workers. I'm not for once excluding that or discounting that fact, but you had a system has had a situation where UK were basically trying to talk about uh, homosexuality and LGBTQ rights and this, that, and whatnot when it came to Qatar and Russia, rightfully. But last time England hosted a World Cup was 1966, right? 1966. Where is it? 1966. It was hosted in England. England won that World Cup also. Do you know 12 years before that, England basically aided and abetted the suicide of Alan Turing, a man without whose contribution the Allied forces would have never won the Second World War. This man had there was a burglary in his house in 1951, and he reported it. And instead of the burglary being solved, they basically found evidence that pointed to the fact that he was a practicing homosexual. And what ended up happening? He was basically given hormone therapy treatment, which translates to chemical castration, and he took his own life by cyanide poisoning in 1954. He was only pardoned. He was only pardoned in 2017. Oh, sorry, 2013. Yeah, he was only pardoned in 2013, and I think in 2017 his thing was recognized. His contributions were properly recognized, and I think the Queen apologized for that and whatnot. So what right does the UK have to talk about all this? I mean, even if you talk about the UK has gone and instituted this criminalization of homosexuality in a lot of its colonies, even India today as well, where today India, while it's not criminalized anymore, it's decriminalized, but it's not legalized either. So it's still in this gray area. And India had a rich history and tapestry of um, you know homosexuality as well as transsexual people as well being welcomed in society, and it was only the British who brought that taboo in the Indian society as well as other places as well. So what right does the UK have to talk about this? I mean, when you did this to a war hero of yours, and you so they were talking about Qatar's LGBT issues around the time when they won the bid. So that was around 2011, 2012, something. Then it took you a year or 5 years to basically come around to accepting your own issues with Alan Turing. Now, again, I'm not comparing one to the other directly vis-a-vis, because obviously the weight of balance will be different because it's one person as opposed to a entire section of society. But at the same time, you are in no place to stand and have a say on this. You don't have any leg in this conversation, in this debate, in my opinion. So that's where I'm at. You also see the fact that Russia was banned within like maybe a week. I think, yeah, it was during this last week of February, 22nd, 23rd, or something like that, when they attacked Ukraine, right? And within a week they were banned, and they still remain banned. In fact, UEFA, even though they are not the same organization as FIFA, they just extended Russia's ban like 4 or 5 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. But in the same breath, you have a situation where certain countries will start wars or do land grabs, kidnap the president, even though the president can be considered a criminal and cheat and not democratically elected. I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but you can threaten a land grab, you can take over someone's oil reserves, you can launch an unprovoked attack on another country, and you can threaten cultural and physical genocide by saying we are going to bomb the shit out of them, bomb them into the Stone Age and whatnot, and still be allowed to host the tournament. Now, that feels like a hypocrisy. I can understand some people will say, you know, uh, the tournament was handed to them so long ago, and this war only started 2 or 3 months ago. It wouldn't be possible logistically to just, change the tournament at the 11th hour and stuff like that. Well, FIFA already has precedent in that matter, where in 2023 they stripped Indonesia of the right to host the Under 20 FIFA World Cup 2 months before the tournament was supposed to happen. I'm pretty sure the war on Iran started well over 2 months ago. And the main reason that was cited by FIFA in 2023 was the fact that the Indonesian Association was said that they refused to host the Israeli team because Indonesia does not recognize Israel and has no diplomatic ties with Israel, and they have always been in support of Palestine. Now, that is Indonesia's sovereign right, right? But what did FIFA do there? FIFA did not say, oh, we can't tell a country who to allow and who not to allow. What did FIFA do? FIFA went and said, fuck you, we're going to take the tournament to Argentina. And they took it. In fact, even before this, Indonesia were threatened with the stripping of the Under 20 World Cup because there was a massive stadium crush issue also that happened in late 2022 between Persija Bandung and one more team, and there were like two almost 150 or 170 people who died in a stampede. So it's possible, and it can be done if only you have the spine for it. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like this man. This I don't know what to call him, man. I keep telling this to all the people I know. I've never thought in my lifetime I would see a FIFA president more despicable than Sepp Blatter. But this man keeps proving me wrong. Keeps proving me wrong. It's unreal how he's managed to do that. I'm not even getting into all their ticketing issues and everything else. I'm just talking about on a human level how fucked up it's been, this whole tournament. And I'm pretty sure nobody's going to give two figs about it when it starts. You won't see, you won't see Germany players come out with their human rights T-shirts to talk about anything that's happening in America. Talk about all the children who are in custody in ICE lockups and who are away from their parents, or parents who've been deported just like that, or people who have died in custody, people who have been shot by an essentially modern day version of the Gestapo. Uh, it's wild. It's wild. You won't have Denmark, you know, unveiling kits like this as a sign of protest. Maybe like we are not going to have any insignia that is directly visible and stuff like that. So again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do all this when Qatar is hosting or when Russia is hosting and stuff like that. But if you can't have the same energy when America is hosting, Denmark is the country who actually has sovereignty over Greenland, and Trump basically said, "I want that. I'm going to take that, and I'm going to take that away from you by force, by hook or by crook, and there's not a thing you're going to do about it." Like taking candy from a baby. That is the sort of mentality and thought process he had when he was discussing the possible annexation of Greenland. So, are Denmark going to do something about it? Are Denmark going to have any sort of message for the American authorities, or are they just going to be good little boys and do their thing and not let politics wade into the murky waters of sport? So that's what we need to see. I genuinely want people to be able to keep the same energy. Now there was this thing on the Athletic also yesterday where Adam Crafton said this. Like there was extensive coverage about the stuff that was happening in Russia and Qatar because the coverage for those things in the countries is not as much. It is threatened, it is stifled, it is suppressed. So hence these people felt the need to have more extensive coverage on the issues that were plaguing the Russian World Cup, be it the LGBTQ issues or the war issues or the Qatar migrant workers issues or their death, their living conditions, the deplorable conditions that they were living in the outskirts of Doha, or the fact that you had fans who were wearing LGBT socks or LGBT wristbands or watch bands, they were getting confiscated and stuff like that. Have that same energy for America as well. You see what they're doing. You see what they're doing. If you can't have that, then just don't bother. And this is just where it boils down to the point where you wonder what's it going to be like in 4 years from now, because Infantino is probably going to be up for re-election again. He is going to be up for re-election again, and then he is going to come and say shit like this. Chill. But 4 years ago, what was he saying? I feel gay, I feel disabled, I feel like a woman. Today I feel Qatari. So he doesn't feel American now. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. You claim to have such a good relationship with the American president, yet you don't get the basics ironed out for your tournament. The ability for fans to be able to attend. You go around saying, when South Africa are hosting, you go around and tell them that it is against our laws to be able to resale tickets. But then when America comes along, when the World Cup is in America, you have your own official dedicated marketplace for reselling, where there are tickets for the final which are going up to 2.3 million a pop. I mean, come on, man, have some shame. Have some shame at least. And decide, pick a lane. You are either one of these massive geopolitical voices for change that can rub shoulders with presidents and popes and prime ministers and the likes, and actually be a vanguard for um, for improvement or for better governance, or you can pretend that you are a non-profit and you don't really have any say in telling a country what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and just mind your own business and be a be a spectator on the wall, basically. Be a fly on the wall. Don't meddle. Don't meddle. Don't come and say you should do this, you should change this law, you should consider putting up these sort of courts, you should consider being more open, or this or that. Just shut the fuck up and accept what you are. You are just in it for your own shit. You don't give two figs about improving the world, making the world better, uniting the world through the medium of football. None of that. Just be honest, let it be. That's it. That's all I have to say on the matter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you agree with whatever I'm saying or not. I might have rambled on a bit too long. I might have gone off topic and stuff also. I apologize for that. This is just something I was personally uh, feeling like I need to say something about. I'm not going to be expecting a lot of people to talk about it, because everyone is going to be caught up with the whole World Cup atmosphere and fever, and rightfully so. Probably I'm going to be too. By the time France play their first game, I'm also probably going to be caught up in that, that excitement and that atmosphere. So yeah, but we shouldn't forget that FIFA is not what it used to be, and FIFA has become a really messed up uh, entity that, I don't know, that it's threatening to ruin the legacy of its own greatest possession. And I hope it doesn't happen. I hope that the World Cup can be better. I don't see it getting any better. I mean, already they're doing all this jiggery pokery about having six nations host it next year, so that South America and Africa and Europe can all be ticked off in one box, so that it leaves the door open for Asia or Oceania to host the 2034 World Cup, and we already know who's hosting that one as well. So yeah, it just feels sad. But anyway, let's see what happens. Let's hopefully the World Cup is going to be entertaining. It will be one for the fans, by the fans. It won't just be rich people in the 2 million, $3 million tickets. That's been it, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out. Cheers.